Hello and welcome to this West London Sport QPR podcast. I'm joined as ever by Ian McCullough and Kevin Gallen. Before we start, I just want to say if you are a regular watcher of these videos and you're not subscribed to the channel, please do, as it really helps us out. And we also had some big news earlier in the week, lads. Johan Barbet confirming that he would be leaving QPR after 3 years. Obviously had like kind of a difficult start to his time at the club, but has been an ever-present really over the last couple of seasons, played a ridiculous amount of games on the left side of that back three. We don't know, Kev, like the ins and outs of the negotiations and what exactly went on, but on the face of it, what are your thoughts on him leaving? Should they have done more to keep him if that was a possibility, do you think?
It's a difficult one, especially for the club. Look, there's a few behind-the-scenes reasons that we don't know about, but I'm just trying to think about what they're thinking. One is Michael Beale, the new coach, is he going to play a flat back four? Where if he does, I don't think Barbet, when Warburton played a flat back four, didn't really cover himself in too much glory. It's only when we went to a back three that I thought he came into his own and played really well, which suited him because he's left-footed. You always got cover. I don't think Barbet's the greatest actual defender, but I think on the ball gives you good balance in a back three with his left foot. Two, the club might have offered him a contract, which he thought was not suitable for what he believes he deserved from his. And let's be fair, he played a hell of a lot of games and was always out there. And did he make 97 consecutive something? Which is
97 or 98. He played every game last season, I believe, and then he missed a few this season towards the end when he got injured. But
that is, that's value for money. So he probably thought he deserved more, and also given his 29 years of age, he wanted, I don't know, everyone's saying he wanted a 3-year contract. Maybe the club thought we're only offering a 1-year contract or a 2-year contract, and he might have a better offer somewhere else. But I have to say, in the last 2 seasons, especially when we went to a back three, that I thought he played very well, and he was a good servant for the football club, and I wish him well for the future.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's been one of the QPR's best players, I think, over the last couple of seasons. Ian, what are your thoughts on him leaving? Were you a bit disappointed to see maybe, like Kev said, the club not go out on a bit more of a limb to try and keep him there, or can you kind of understand why they've not done that?
I sort of see both sides of it. I think personally, I just reiterate what Kevin just said. He's probably one of QPR's best free transfers they've made. I mean, they've signed players, for far greater money than him that have been, someone like Joel Lynch, for example, cost 750 grand. Johan Barbet, a vastly superior player. Great guy, always available, got off to a bit of a rocky start, but, very much intrinsically linked with the Mark Warburton era, playing in a back three. So maybe that's why they haven't signed him. But I think also as well, he's 29. He's probably got his last chance to make sort of decent money on a contract. He's probably thinking, I'd like to stay, but on the terms that I want. And they probably offered him something that's probably less than what he was on already. And, they've been known to do that in the past. That happened with Jack Robinson when he was there. We'll offer you a new deal. We're in talks, but we'll offer you 50% more, less than you're already on. So I don't blame him for, walking away. At the same time, they might look at it and think we can get, younger and cheaper in their position. We need to spend the money elsewhere. We've got, Geordie DeVries, Rob Dickey, Jimmy Dunn, Conor Marston coming back. He's dispensable. We can let him go and we can probably bring someone else in who's younger on less money. So that's probably where the thinking is. There's a lot of outrage on Twitter about this and that, but, a lot of these people are getting outraged about it on Twitter, or the people are getting outraged if QPR didn't sign Charlie Austin this time last year, and we're getting outraged about Charlie Austin being in the team in sort of Christmas time. So, there's a lot of noise out there about what they should have done, what they didn't do, but at the same time, you have to kind of, respect why they've done it and the reasons for it. And new managers coming in perhaps said, I don't perhaps want him. I think we should look at spending the money elsewhere. So, but great guy, good player, done a great job at QPR, and you hope he goes on, has a good career elsewhere, and you wish him well.
I think it's a big.
Sorry. So I think you're correct. So if the manager's going to play a flat back four, and it's obviously 2 centre backs, and we've got 4 centre backs, that's pretty much covered, really, isn't it, for the season? I would say. But if you're playing three at the back, you probably need 4 to 5, don't you? Really. So I agree totally. He's probably thinking he might want this amount of money, but hold on, we need to get a centre forward in here, and we need to save our money or relocate that money for a more important position. And so they're probably thinking the budget and what they need to spend their money on. And they've got 4 centre backs for 2. I remember when I got into the team, Jerry Francis just went through my head. Jerry Francis played a flat back 4. We had Alan McDonald, Danny Maddox, Steve Yates, Carl Reddy, 4 centre backs for 2 positions, which you usually, unless you're very unlucky, should be okay for the season. But then you can get loans in, in January and stuff. But yeah, I think the money will be spent in other positions.
So like my kind of immediate reaction when I saw it was, when he put on his Instagram and Twitter post that he wanted to stay. And I just think it's a big call to let a player like that who wants to stay at the club go. I mean, like, so we don't know what his demands are and if he wanted too much. And, Beale, I would expect him to go to a back 4. I don't know that for certain. Based on what we know about him so far, I think he'll play a back 4. But he's quite adaptable. He might come in and play a back 3, which if that is the case, you'd have to really question why Barbet has left. But I do understand, back 4, he's obviously not as effective as he is in a back 3. But I think to let a player like that go, left-sided, centre-back, like one of the most, dependable players out there, reliable, who just comes in and plays almost every game, it's a big call. I think, personally, if there was a chance to keep him, I think I would have done, like you said, Kev, there. I mean, if they get Barbet in on another deal, that's kind of the centre-back sorted then, isn't it, for next season? And, they've got a lot of, unless, Rob Dickey or whatever gets sold, but I think that would kind of, you'd be in a good position, and then you can look at other areas. But like I said, I suppose it comes down to the wages, doesn't it, which we don't know about if it was too much.
Another thing, and time will tell. If they do get another centre-back in and he ain't as good as Barbet, then everyone will be giving it, hold on a minute. And that's the same with the manager. There's a lot of Warburton fans. I don't want to go back on old ground. There's a lot of Warburton fans out there still. I know we've got a new manager, but if this manager don't do as well as Warburton, everyone will say, oh, well, the alternative, we've changed, the grass ain't always greener. So only time will tell. And if we're still doing this in a year's time, we'll come back to it, Dan.
Hopefully, unless you got any other plans that you're going to leave us.
You might get off.
You might get offered a nice job somewhere. Manager's job. You never know.
Do this though, can't we?
Yeah, well, if you're the QPR manager, you can still do it with us. That would be pretty handy. So that's obviously a player we know won't be at QPR next season. But I mean, moving on to who could be, looks like Albert Adomah could sign. I think it's likely, but we don't know that for certain whether he will. These things can often change, but certainly at this point, it looks likely. But either way you look at it, QPR have got a lot to do this summer when you look at the players that have left. I mean, we touched on it like a few weeks ago when we did a podcast. You've got all the players who are going back to their parent clubs who are on loan at the club, which is a few. Then you've got quite a few players that have been released as well. There's some noticeable holes in the team. I feel like I probably know what you're going to say here, Kev, but in terms of the priorities for Beale and what he should be looking at, what are the positions he should be prioritising this summer?
Well, just what you said about Adomah. So if Adomah's staying, that sort of says to me he's going to play a flat back 4. Because Adomah's not really, he's a winger. He's not a winger. He's not a wing back, let's be fair. He did well in fielding at times, but he's an out and out winger. He's an attacking player. So that says to me he's going to try and play a flat back 4. We said it a few weeks ago, and I'm sure Ian might agree with me for the first time. I'm only joking. I would say striker and 2 fullbacks are priorities at the moment, especially if you're going to play a flat back 4.
Absolutely.
2 right back and a left back, specialised right back and a specialised left back.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think when you look at the squad list, it's fairly obvious what QPR need. I mean, do you agree with that, Ian? Is that where they should be looking for the summer?
It's quite funny. I was talking to my mate yesterday, who I go to a lot of games with, and he said to me, this time last year we were saying we need fullbacks and a striker. So I was like, what are we saying? We need fullbacks and a striker. And I mean, they kind of made do with sort of wing backs. They haven't really splashed out on the position, Sam McCullough was brought on loan. Lee Wallace was a free transfer. Moses Abajo, free transfer. Ozzy Kakai's sort of peripheral player. So they haven't really gone out and thought, right, we're going to buy or sign a specialist sort of young fullback. And I think that's perhaps the reason why they decided to, that'll be a priority for, I think, Beale when they come in. The excellent thing you put out in the week, Dan, about how you expect Beale to play. It's fullbacks are very much part of what he wants to do. And you think that's probably where he's looking at, right, I want to get, George Cox again, that could happen. The lad at Fortuna Sittard, ex-Brighton, defend left back. He was very, very close to signing last year. Fortuna at the last minute put the price up. Rangers walked away. He's in the last year of his contract there, so you think that he's still there. You think that Rangers are in a better bargaining position now to get him for a fee that's more what they want to pay. So that could happen. He's precisely the kind of young sort of player that Beale likes. And I think on the right side, you've got the option of Moses Abajo re-signing. He's not in a great bargaining position. It's very unfortunate for him. I thought he did pretty well in the back end of last season. He's torn a calf muscle, which you're out of contract at the end of the season for a footballer is a nightmare. And a new manager coming in, and the previous manager was very much a fan of your work, so to speak. So that might be something they might look to keep him on a 1-year deal again. He could do a job on the right, but striker is almost certainly you have to look at that area. I think maybe in the loan market, that's where they'll look. You've got Macaulay Bond coming back. Can Beale get a tune out of him? He had some good form at Ipswich last year. I know he's at a lower level, but, he has scored goals in the Championship. I think with Beale, with Bond, that, is there a player in there? I don't know. He kind of shows flashes of something, and, he's not bad in the air. He's got a good bit of pace about him. I just think he's a confidence player from what I've seen of him. He lacks a bit of self-belief, maybe.
I mean, I'll just take back some of those chances he missed when he was at, real sitters, open goals and stuff. I just don't, he's better than that. I don't know what happened there, but he's a better player than that. Of course he is. And
I think it's the old adage in football, isn't it? You're getting into positions but missing the chances. I mean, what do you think, Kevin? Do you think he's someone that you know a bit more about him than I do, I think?
He did miss some sitters, but that's not the end of the world. He's gone away. I don't know whether we don't know if his heart's in it to come back. He is a QPR player. I'm sure the manager will be trying to, like you said, get a tune out of him, because he is, like you said, he can score a header. He gets in the box. He can get chances. He's got a bit of pace about him. So he's got the fundamentals of a decent striker. Strikers all about confidence, and you can see that in Lyndon Dykes as well. When at the end of last season, he was confident and he was scoring goals. Start of this season, the season just gone, he was very confident and he's scoring some good scoring goals, and then he's just got injured and just never recovered, and his confidence just dipped. So I'm sure the manager will be thinking, can I get something out of him? Because he is our player, and they spent £2 million on him, so they'll be desperate for him to do well. Regarding the fullbacks, and I think it's if you want to play an attacking and passing style of football, you need to have fullbacks who are comfortable on the ball. And I go back to when I started playing for QPR, and Ian will probably back me up on this again, but the two best left backs and right backs I've seen down at QPR was Clive Wilson, left back, and David Barsley, right back, who were excellent on the ball and would start attacks off. And when you play, when you watch football, a lot of the attacks are started from the fullback position. They have the most time on the ball, and they have to have time. They have to put crosses into the box and have to put good deliveries into the box. And if you want to play a certain brand attacking and the brand of football that QPR saw in the last few years, you have to have good fullbacks. I really think it's such an important position for QPR.
And from some of the research I've done since Beale was appointed for the video that Ian mentioned that I did the other day, though, I mean, we don't, like I said in the video, like obviously Gerrard was the one making the final calls there, so you can't take everything from Beale's time at Villa and Rangers as to what he's going to do. But like at both clubs, those fullbacks were so important because, like I said, they started building attacks from there. They were really advanced. They were playing almost like wing backs in a back four, and they tried to create overloads out in those wide positions using the fullback. That was like a real big focus. And it just, you look at the QPR squad at the moment, there just isn't any fullbacks there. And Osman Kaka is the only one, I believe, under contract. And you feel like, you know, obviously, Ian, you mentioned Adomah there, you know, factor him in. If they comes in, you probably need another two. But at the moment, you probably need 3 fullbacks. Probably need 2 right back and 2 left backs, I would imagine. I mean, that's a lot of business to do in one position, in one transfer window. If they are going to be as important as they were at Villa and Rangers, I mean, it's a big thing that they're going to have to do this summer. But yeah, I mean, on the striker as well, Kev. Like, see, seems like that's about the 20th time we said they need a striker in the past, you know. But it just seems this, you know, not changed it. But what kind of striker should they be looking for? Is it someone who's a bit of a poacher? Is it someone who's got pace, you can run in behind stretch defenses? Is that what sort of person do they need?
We've got a big one in Lyndon Dykes, who actually, for a big geezer, a big player, he's he has got he's got decent mobility and he can run in behind. But I would say they're looking for someone who can make little darty runs around this, you know. It's difficult because everyone, believe me, everyone's after these types of players. If you go to any football match and you speak to any scouts and you just give it, so what are you looking for? A striker. And then go to the next one. What are you looking for? A striker. Everyone's looking for strikers. They're all, you know, so I mean, I've got QPR friends and we're talking about strikers in this one. And if you've got a striker who can score some goals, I mean, Luton wouldn't have got into the playoffs without, is it
Adomah,
yeah, they wouldn't have. That's how important, and then that's how important that position is. If you've got someone who can take the pressure off and can nick a goal out of nothing and take the pressure off the centre half, everything makes such a difference.
So I do feel like we overcomplicate football sometimes, don't we? Like everyone, the media, the pundits, you know what I mean? It's like if you've got a striker that can finish and score goals, that, like you said before, it just, you know, overtakes everything else. It's, you know, that fixes a lot of problems.
You get sort of, I mean, look at Fulham. They had Mitrovic. I know he's bundles, but that's a, you take Mitrovic out of Fulham, they don't get promoted. Simple. I don't think they do. Not what did he score? 40 goals,
but
43, I believe. Yeah.
But I think again, like, if you look at the 3 teams that went up, Fulham, Bournemouth, and Forest, the one thing they did have was pace. They had a lot of pace. You know, guys like Brennan Johnson for Forest, and you had Spence, and you had like, you know, the fullbacks at Fulham, the kid on loan from Nico Williams from Fulham, and Tete and Harry Wilson, these types of players, and that, you know, Bournemouth, you know, the fullbacks there, Denjuma, I can't remember his name. Anyway, but you know what I mean? There was a lot of pace, and when QPR lost down at Bournemouth the first half, you know, Bournemouth tore them apart, but just with pace, and I think that was what QPR didn't have last year. I mean, Chris Willock is quick, but I've said it numerous times since Bright Samuel left, I haven't had that kind of.
Willock's not running in behind though, is he? He's getting the ball into feet.
And I think that's what they need. They
like
do.
Bright was running in behind. That's what caused so many problems.
In those sort of wide areas, the fullbacks, you want pace. I mean, it's almost become. I mean, I'm not saying anything, you know, revolutionary here, but you look at the top teams and how important fullbacks are. You know, Reece James, Alexander-Arnold, these types of players. Kyle Walker, they're so integral to how teams want to play. And I mean, if you can't sign a £10 million striker, you've got to look at ways that can make your team better. And I think by doing that, pace hurts teams. It really does. And I think back onto Bon as well.
Sorry, defenders.
Yeah, and I think going back to Bon as well. I know people look around and go, "Well, he was rubbish at Ipswich toward the end of the season, didn't score." But start the season when he was confident and scoring goals. Again, it's at a lower level, but you know, players just need to be happy sometimes. And I think he obviously had a fallout with Warburton. New manager comes in. You know, if they can get something out of him, and again, I'm not for a minute saying that Macaulay Bon is the answer, but you've got a player there. He's got another 2 years on his contract. You have to kind of get him back in the building and sort of try and get something out of him because
fresh start.
And the same with Dykes. I think with Dykes as well. I think Dykes needs rest. He really hasn't.
Well, he got injured the other day, didn't he? Again for Scotland, he just can't stay fit.
He just needs to, like, this ludicrous situation that players are having now, where you got this, Nations League rubbish, where players need time off.
I don't feel sorry for him, but I do feel sorry for him in the way they must be thinking. Can we just have because they're back to those lads? They're back to training in 3 or 4 weeks, 3 weeks. And regardless, going back to that, Ian, I agree totally with the pace. And it's important for QPR to get someone who will run in behind, because if you get someone who's constantly running in behind, the centre halves of the other team, the back four, move back 10 yards and then create space for Willock and Chair to come and do and play their stuff. And that was unfortunately why Charlie Austin didn't sort of work out, because he couldn't run in behind, and the back four of the opposition team would squeeze up, which would create between their midfield and their defence no space for Chair and Willock to come and play. So you need someone to run in to make that gap, so they can come in and get the ball and play and do what they're good at, is creating chances, taking on players, shooting, scoring. So you need someone to run in behind.
I completely agree. Like, that was a big thing last year, which I don't think was spoken about enough, is like the lack of pace, because it's all very well having played, Willock and Chair aren't slow, but they're not pacey players getting it behind. And the fullbacks, there wasn't a lot of pace there either. Or the Badger's quick, but that was about it. You got Lee Wallace on the other side, who, for all his talents, is...
Chair and Willock, it's not as if they're not... I mean, Willock's got, I'd say, some good pace, but they want to come to ball and get the ball to feet.
Exactly, yeah.
You need someone to run in behind for them to come and get the ball to feet and play.
Yeah, I mean, whether that's a fullback or up top this summer, they've got to get someone with pace. And I think, like you said, Kev, like someone who can stretch defences and run in behind a striker would be massive. I mean, I look at someone like Cameron Archer, obviously spent time on loan at Preston last season. Michael Beale, obvious links there with, he's an Aston Villa player. I mean, that there should be someone looking at someone like that, I think, in my opinion. That's not me, reporting or saying that they're trying to sign him, but I just think that's just someone they should look at, that sort of type of player. And, like I said, Kev, everyone's looking for strikers and they're so expensive nowadays. I think QPR got kind of be wise. Free transfers and loans is probably the way they're going to go, especially up top. I think the best sort of strikers ever. I mean, Lyndon Dykes has been really good at times, but I look back at Warburton's 3 years at the club, and the best kind of strikers they had was when they had that Naki Wells, Jordan Hugill, strike partnership on occasion, or one of them would play. I don't think.
But who did they have in the team then? Bright Samuel, pace.
Exactly. Yeah, and that as well. I don't think that's the best QPR have been over his time at the club. Obviously, they got better players in towards his end of season. But in terms of you're just looking at those positions, that was when they were at their best. So they got to strengthen in that area. I mean, they absolutely have to. Ian, you've touched on Lyndon Dykes there. I mean, what do you think about Dykes? I mean, are you comfortable going in next season with him as the first choice striker? Do you still have confidence there in him and what he can do for QPR?
I think I always judge players on, have I seen them do it before? And I've seen flashes of Dykes to think, do you know what? There is a player there. I think if you look at him early in the season up at Middlesbrough, he was excellent when they won that game. He was the game against Preston. They won 3-2 that day. He was outstanding that day. And the pre-season against Man United, where he scored twice, he looked really good that day. Comes on against Coventry as a sub, scores an absolute, terrific goal, good technique. The game against Derby, where they won 1-0, Luke Amos goal. He's taken the ball in stride, lays it out lovely to Amos to score. There's a player there. He has got, and I think he's got better as well. I think he looks less cumbersome than he did when he first signed. So he has improved, but I just maintain he's played too much football. I don't want to sound like Mark Warburton here with sports science, but Scotland have played a lot of matches in the last 18 months, and he's been always there. He just needs, and he keeps breaking down. He needs like a month of no football and come into pre-season and then just hit the ground running at the start of the season. I think that's been half his problem. And I've been a critic of Dykes in certain games. I mean, the game at Millwall, he was awful. He got bullied. He was that, but then he's out of the team for 5 weeks with an injury. So is he playing injured? When you're playing injured, I mean, Ken's been a pro, I was
surprised
a lot of players do play injured, and you have to give credit to players that are playing through.
Do you know what, Ian, and I agree with that, with the playing injured, because I wish someone maybe like come out and say, look, he's playing injured. Don't give him a hard time.
But managers don't want to do that because they don't want other teams to know that he's injured, and it's all this kind of old smoke and mirror stuff about he's fit, he's not fit. True. You know, and you know, people like me who do the ratings give Dykes 5 out of 10 and say he's absolutely deplorable, and social media's having a go at him. And we don't know, you know, he's playing at 20% fitness, but they've got no other strikers available, so you've got to play him. And it's, you know, we don't know, do we? I just think with him though, he looks unfit. He doesn't look fit.
Yeah,
but I've seen enough of him to go, do you know what? He has got something about him, and that could be he can do it at this level. But I just think, you know, when you're not fit, you're not playing your best, are you?
No, I agree. I mean, he had that obviously bad hamstring injury, I think it was, wasn't it? And then I was surprised that he came back in for as many games as he did. Like that run towards the end of the season, he was playing pretty much every game, which is kind of surprised me, especially, you know, given how much Warburton prioritises, you know, putting the players' fitness first almost sometimes.
But when you're not winning games, you do anything, don't you? You need to get everyone on the pitch. And
I don't think he's been fit for a little while. He got that ankle injury,
didn't he, against Forest, sort of November time, in the 1-1 draw. I don't think he really was the same after that. I think he was just playing almost, in racing terms, running lame for a lot of it.
The trouble is, it's like, you know, pre-season isn't that far away. He's now, I mean, obviously he's got injured for Scotland again, so he won't be playing in those games, but he ain't got long to rest. He needs, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe they look at bringing him back a bit later or something, giving him a bit more rest.
Well, they will do, wouldn't they? Because he's a bit international, they'll give him an extra sort of...
It's just like last season and like the season, like when he goes away with Scotland, this was about international break. He goes and plays like 3 games.
Yeah.
It's like he never stops, does he? And I'm not surprised.
The thing with watch Scotland play, he's there just as a battering ram, just to upset the defence, sort of cause havoc for the other players to come and play. If you know what I mean? It's just,
I suppose, the nature of the way he plays as well. He's going to get injuries, isn't he? Because he's a physical striker and he puts himself about. Well, ideally, you know, when he's at his best.
I don't think he's suited to being a battering ram. And I'm in no way am I suggesting he's in the same league as Lukaku, but I don't think Lukaku's a battering ram either. I think because players are big and strong and people think, oh, we're going to hit it long and he's going to batter them. I've seen enough of Dykes to go, he doesn't bully defenders. He can do, he can be a handful, but I don't think that's his game. Just knock it up long and hope he's going to elbow and bang and, you know, like Duncan Ferguson used to do. I don't think he's that sort of player. I think he's more mobile than that. And I think that, I don't think he's particularly good in the air. He doesn't win many. It crosses in the box and a header, he'll score. But like, you know, when you're knocking it up top, and he's you know, battling with a 6'4" centre back, he doesn't win many in the air.
Well, that's a little bit like I'm just going back a few years. Matt Smith couldn't win a header from a goal kick, but he could win a header from a cross.
I mean, he's a better player than Matt Smith, Dykes.
No, I'm just saying about that. You're talking about like winning headers from long balls. There's a difference of winning a header from a goal kick or a diagonal than from a cross. Different altogether, because it's about movement in the box and getting across defenders or peeling off them. Where if it's a long ball, it's literally you got to hold your body and try and get on or hold it. It's a different skill altogether and technique.
No, absolutely. I think, you know, like we're in agreement, regardless of how Dykes comes back next season, whether he's nearer to his best than he was, they've either way, strikers got to happen, isn't it? Regardless of what happens to Macaulay Bonne. If they keep Bonne and they think he's got something to offer, at least another striker. And if they don't, then you're looking at 2 really. So
I mean, they're going to have
a lot to do.
I mean, they got to bring in another striker. I mean, you got Kelman coming back, whether he's good enough.
I mean, he scored 2 in something 20 or something in Gillingham. I don't know the exact stat, but
again, I've liked what I've seen of him, but in reserve football, it's different. You know, it's different.
I think another loan probably for him is probably more beneficial. But yeah,
I imagine they're bringing some. Sorry, to interrupt you, Dan.
That's all right. No, I just said I think they're really lacking up top. You gone?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine they'll bring in someone on loan. You know, a young, quick striker who can maybe an Archer type player. I don't know a lot about Cameron Archer, I have to be honest, but I know he's done
another 23 loan player from another 23 player from a Premiership club, I'd say. I mean, there was that lad at is it Balogun who was on loan from Arsenal at Middlesbrough, plays for England under 21s. That sort of type of player.
No, absolutely. It'd be interesting to see what they do.
Quick around the box, little diagonal runs, stretch of the defence, poacher sort of type, running right behind.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, we'll wrap it up there. Yeah, let us know in the comments what you think about what QPR need in the summer transfer window, what the biggest priorities are. I think it'd be hard to disagree with fullbacks and strikers, as you know, we've said a lot recently, but I think that has to be the biggest priority. But and yeah, leave a like and subscribe to the channel as well, please. And yeah, we'll be back again soon. Thanks for watching.